Alright lads, so Arena has been out for like the last 72 hours, and for the most part the first 40 hours were basically unplayable. But after today's update, the Arena game mode, while there are still some bugs out there, it is definitely way more playable, and for the most part, 95% of my games today have experienced zero kind of issues. They're still there, but it's definitely way more playable. And in doing so, because of that, it's about time we hit you with some 10 tips to win in Arena. Now do keep in mind, some of these are self-explanatory. You might know all of these, but for a lot of players out there that are maybe just starting the game for the first time and don't really know what to do in this specific game mode, you might learn something new. And if you do, show support by liking the video. But that being said, let's jump straight into it. 10 tips to win in Arena. So tip number 1 is to use meta characters. Now you might be asking, what are the meta characters? Well, essentially, if you look at any kind of PvE tier list, all the great characters that you probably heard from in the community, you know, Misaki, Tokinada, Kisuke, Ginjo, 10 years later Rukia and Ichigo, 5th anniversary Byakuya and Ichigo as well. A lot of the great characters for PvE play are also equally good in this game mode. Now I'm not going to sit here and say every amazing character, but unfortunately, even though I promote this game mode to use whoever you want, obviously that isn't going to happen in the higher leagues. For the most part, you can use whoever you want in the lower leagues, but once you hit rank 8 and above, you really need to be using the characters that are built not for this mode, but greatly benefit in this mode, and just are naturally better characters. My main right now currently is 10 years later version of Ichigo. I would love to get my confidence Aaroniero to rank 10, but it's just not going to happen, because he's going to be bringing down the team. If I try my best with the character, it's just not going to work. So I definitely recommend the first and obvious point right now is to use the better characters. Your 10 years later version of Ichigo, your Misaki, your Kugo, your Kisuke, your Tokinadas, your 5th anniversary Ichigos and Byakuyas. All those characters are great in this specific game mode. The second tip, and this is also a very obvious one, is to play with your guildmates / friends. If you're able to communicate while in game, it definitely does go a long way, and it helps going against the randoms that you don't want to play against. In the first 48 hours of Arena, I had to play the entire game by myself. I couldn't play with guildmates, I couldn't play with friends, and that meant I lost a lot of games that I shouldn't have lost, because my teammates, quite frankly, didn't know what they're doing, and they'll bring in some terrible characters. So the best thing to do, and it does help a lot, is just to play with your friends. If they know what they're doing and you know what you're doing, you're going to have a better time in this game mode. Number 3 is to work on your links and also dupes. Now dupes offer you a small advantage. A 1 out of 5 character gets a 4% all-stat increase, while a 5 out of 5 character gets a 20% all-stat increase. It's a 60% difference, so it does make a very small difference, but it's better to have a character 5/5 than 1 out of 5, although it's not the end-all be-all. But the links also do go a very long way in this. Once you get your main character to rank 6, you then unlock your 6 support slots, where you can then put your links onto them, whether you're going with recharge, strong attack damage, normal attack damage, or even DR. But just having the links isn't going to help you when you're going against rank 10s. What you also want to do, and I did make a specific video for this, so if you want to learn more about arena traits, I encourage you to check that out. Essentially, what you want to do is get your links to rank 5, which only takes 10 wins. Now, unfortunately, with the way the game is set up, some of the links that you might be using, unfortunately, aren't the best characters, so getting them to rank 5 might be a pain, but it definitely is worth the effort. And the reason for that is because once you get a character to rank 5, they then offer you a stat boost. In a lot of cases, in the right situations, you might be able to get SP, attack, or focus. It really depends on the build you're going with and what type of link you are using. For example, right now, because I am using the Mind Ichigo, I then linked characters like the CS Soifon and also the Noel, because they both offer recharge and 90 additional SP. So those are the ways to make your characters even stronger, especially in the early game when you can just then start one-shotting enemies because you now have more stats. So tip number 3, work on your links. Just having the link there isn't enough. You want to make sure you're getting that extra SP or attack, depending on the type of build that you are going with. Number 4 is to grab the boost. This one might seem quite simple, but it's very, very important, especially for late game when it comes down to the last 20 seconds and you're constantly stealing points from each other. These boosts that spawn every 30 seconds on the map in set locations, by the way, so it is very important you do learn the spawns for these. They give you a 30% all-stat increase, and that does stack. So you could eventually get +9, and at that point you have significantly higher stats to the point where you're not dying, and you're also one-shotting the bosses even at +5. So it's very important you do get these, and try not to be greedy. Normally for me personally, at +4 or 5, you're one-shotting the boss regardless. So me getting to +9 isn't all that needed, and I would save some of the boost for my teammates so they can also one-shot the bosses. So do keep that in mind. You want to make sure you are sparing them across your team. Again, going back to tip number 2, if you're playing with your team, teammates, you can somewhat spare them out across the team, so one person isn't sitting at +9 where everyone else is chilling at no boost. Do keep in mind, however, you do have a 20% chance to get a soul bomb from this box that does spawn in, and that could also help you out getting a lot of points by killing a lot of enemies with your soul bomb. Number 4 is to know the map locations and also, very importantly, the boss spawns, the NPC spawns. Now, this is very important because if you die, you're going to cost your team the win. If you die at the very end of a game when it's coming down to like constantly stealing from each other because everyone's one-shotting a boss, if you die, that's a lot of DPS that you're losing. And at the same time, if you die yourself, you also lose points for them to actually steal your score. So it's very important that you don't set yourself up in a position where you can just get one-shotted by an NPC that literally just spawned in. The bosses have 4 set spawns in every single map, and knowing where they spawn makes it easier for you to track them and get more points to kill them quickly, and also allows you to not die. So very important one that a lot of people are going to just skip across. Know the boss spawns, and once you know that, you're going to have an easier time in arena. Number 6, and this one can't be stressed enough, save your soul bomb. The amount of times I went into a game and someone used their soul bomb right off the start. The only time you should be using your soul bomb is at the late game to kill a bunch of enemies and just get more points than the other team, and to also try and get a score steal. And the main important one is to use it when missions spawn in. Now, the missions will spawn in at the 1 minute mark, so 1 minute in game time, you'll normally get a mission, and it could range from killing bosses, kill 20 enemies, kill specific attributes, and you want to make sure you have your soul bomb ready, because for the most part it's a guaranteed kill. If you use your soul bomb in the right position, you could literally get the guaranteed mission completed within like 2 seconds, depending on the type of mission it is. But it's very important you're not wasting your soul bomb right off the start. Save it for the missions or save it for the end game to steal a lot of points from the enemy's team. Number 7, and this can't be stressed enough, don't point steal when you're winning in the last 10 or so seconds. And this one's very situational, but it's also important to know when not to steal their score in a certain situation. So what do I mean by this? Well, let me give you an example. My team was winning. We have 2 seconds left on the scoreboard. My orange gauge is halfway through. There is no time for them to steal our score. But their orange bar is on the verge of being stolen, right? We're about to steal their points. But we don't need to because we're winning. We're about to win in 2 seconds. However, one teammate doesn't realize that and then kills a boss or kills some enemies, and therefore you steal their score when you didn't need to, and now you have more points, but at the same time you just extended the timer, and now they have 20 seconds again to steal our points. And that has happened a lot of times where we didn't need to steal their score, but we did, and we lost. Or it goes back and forth between them taking our points and us taking their points. Just understand, understand game awareness, right? Not to take their points when you have the guaranteed win, because if you do, you're going to steal their score and give them the opportunity to score back when you had the guaranteed win had you not killed those enemies. So don't score steal when you have the guaranteed win. Number 8. Masaki. Unfortunately, Masaki is the best arena character in the game right now. She is absolutely bonkers. Everyone knows about it. She's the worst character to go against. The boost, the flurry poise, the range flurry with a shield, it's too much. And I think every team has to have at least one Masaki, because the shield is very important. And right now, and I want to believe this is currently a bug, where the boss will spawn in using a strong attack when they're not supposed to. And the strong attack that they do decide to use is the SA2, so henceforth Masaki is going to instantly sometimes spawn in with a shield. So it's very important to just bring a Masaki, because it's giving you the shield, it's giving you the boost too, and overall for them in the enemy team when they're going against their Masaki can two-shot you in late game. If you get her to +5 on the NPC, she's very likely to two-shot anyone that doesn't have increased stats from the boxes that I mentioned on point number 4. So yeah, that's literally it. Point number 8, have a Masaki in your team. It does wonders. Number 9 is to follow your arrows. So the arrows are very important, and I didn't realize this straight away until later. They basically guide you to the most points possible. For the most part, 90% of the game, it's going to be a red arrow guiding you to where the boss is. If you understand that, it means you're not flash stepping around the map trying to find the boss when it's literally telling you exactly where the closest boss is. So follow that, make sure you're always killing bosses, and during the mission time where it's telling you to either kill enemies or kill technique characters, mainly the one where it's telling you to kill a specific type of enemy, a specific attribute of enemy, follow the yellow arrow. It's going to help you greatly, and it's going to tell you exactly where you need to go, so you're not wasting time flash stepping around the map. And number 10, keep your distance. there is no reason to be up and close to the enemies unless you have to, and that's why I actually recommend using range characters. For example, since I am currently using the 10 years later version of Ichigo, his SA2 and SA1 have very good range. So what I find myself doing a lot of the times is to, one, not get too close to the enemies when they do spawn in. When the enemy does spawn in, they're going to be standing there idly until you get too close, and the first thing they're going to do to you when they do get close is to use a strong attack. So what I like to do, when I'm buffed up and I'm pretty much one-shotting the boss, I use my SA1 and it kills them from a distance, and they don't even have the chance to dodge it, they don't have a chance to activate their boost or a shield or a debuff, whatever they do on the SA2 or strong attack, they don't have a chance to do it because I'm keeping my distance. If you keep your distance, they're not going to use a strong attack, it's going to keep yourself safe, and it's also going to allow you to kill the bosses or slash NPCs very, very easily. But that right there, lads, was the 10 tips to win in Arena. Hopefully this was able to help some of you out. Maybe you learned something new. If you did, show support by liking the video. If you didn't, that's perfectly fine. Then you're all good. You're all set to go in Arena. But do keep in mind, even knowing all these tips, you're never guaranteed to win. The score stealing in this game can be in your favor, and a lot of times it can ruin an entirely good run. Even myself, when I am playing with guildmates, even when we know what we're doing, sometimes you just don't win games. So you're never really guaranteed to win, even with the best type of players, even with the best type of score. Sometimes it just doesn't go the way you want it to do. But knowing that these 10 points is definitely going to increase your points, and it's definitely going to increase the enjoyability when playing Arena. That being said, you guys did enjoy the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.